This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Joining me on Stockbox this morning is Ben Turney, the CEO of Kavango Resources. Ben, hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Mark. How are you?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm good, thank you, Ben. So this morning we're looking at Kavango share price. It's down 19%. It's probably off the back of the news you released regarding an update on the exploration. And I think perhaps one of the first things that people are not so sure about is this downhole EM, which we were looking forward to and we discussed last time we spoke, didn't we? You've had a problem, I think, trying to get the EM signal to penetrate through the casing. So can I ask, why did you case down to 393 meters, and did you not preempt this issue that the signal might be masked by the casing?
Yeah, the casing masking the signal was always going to be a risk. But our priority in this first hole, as we've described to the market, and I think I've talked to you about before, Mark, was to get to the bottom of the Gabbro formation that we were targeting. That was the main engineering challenge. There hasn't been a hole drilled in this region for 30 years, so the knowledge of the lithology and the geology is very limited. You know, we're having to go on geophysical models. So until we actually put the truth detector in the ground, as we talked about before, we don't actually know what's down there. So from a risk management point of view, the reason that the drillers used steel casing is because that was all that would ensure the hole integrity down to the very bottom. So what happens when one of these holes is being drilled? You start with a much wider diameter hole at the nearer surface. And as you go through the sections, as you get progressively lower, you move to smaller and smaller diameter. Now, there comes a point where the diameter becomes so small that the risk of the drill rods bouncing around in the hole becomes much less. Whereas obviously when you're up at the higher diameter, closer to surface, what you find is that the drill rods, as they're spinning round, they also tend to knock from side to side. And what they can then do is they can open up other holes, which can then sort of in the earth as they bang into it. And that can lead to blockages within the hole, but it can also lead to drill rod snapping as well. Now, if we'd had a snapped drill rod at any point, that would have been disastrous for this hole, and we almost certainly would have had to abandon it. So our main priority was to get to the bottom, get that core to surface, as we put in our announcement last week. And of course, then we wanted to run the downhole EM probe. Now, it's unfortunate for us that that steel casing that the drillers felt they had to put in place was down to 393 meters. And we believe that the conductor, the A2 conductor, the actual base of it is at about 370 meters. Now, obviously, we've seen some of the rock formations on the way down, so we've got an idea of what might be causing it. But at this stage, obviously, we've got to be careful what we say. We don't want to raise expectations. We don't want to dash expectations. All we can do now is report definitively what's actually happened. And at this point, obviously, we've had a definitive result from the downhole EM. It's inconclusive, but obviously we're obligated to report that to the market. So, of course, our share price is down 20% at the moment as we're speaking. For what it's worth, I think that's a crazy overreaction. Even the downhole EM would still just provide us with another indicator. What the most important thing that's going to happen, of course, is the rocks, the testing of the rocks of the core samples.
Indeed. So do you not think people should get too hung up on the EM? But you are going to try again, aren't you? I think the RNS stated.
We're going to try again if we can. So there's another type of survey that I'm wondering we perhaps should have maybe described better in the RNSs, called a downhole survey. So that's where you measure the orientation of the hole. Now, that's actually an extremely important survey because we need to make sure that the drillers drilled to, where we told them within a sort of acceptable range of variation. So the downhole survey, that will be completed after the second hole that we drill in the area. The downhole surveying equipment is very expensive to hire. So getting it out for just one hole doesn't make economic sense. We'll get it out after we have completed the second hole that's now underway. And then we obviously need to make sure that we've actually gone into the ground where we expected to, because obviously drilling this deep, even a slight variation at surface in terms of the angle of approach, could lead to you missing your target by a very long way. So we obviously need to make sure that the drillers have done exactly what they said. That's going to be important, obviously, for future drill campaigns as well. But at this stage, it's unfortunate we've not been able to get the downhole EM readings, but it's not the end of the world at this point.
Okay. So you're carrying on drilling the target A2 with the second hole. How is that progressing? You've obviously got now double shifts, so hopefully speeding up the progress there.
Well, so far so good. The guys mobilised the rig really quickly and safely over to the new site. Started drilling Friday morning. Since then, we're down to about 180 metres now. I had a report this morning from the 6 a.m. shift that finished. They're in double shifts, so those are 12-hour shifts, 6 till 6. They're making great progress. Core recovery looks excellent again, is very consistent as it was with the first hole. And we're really looking forward to testing the western edge of this A2 conductor. We're expecting to encounter quite a lot more gabbro in this hole. We're hoping to hit that any day now. And yeah, so far so good. And then once we've managed to get to the bottom of this one, our plan at the moment is to mobilise to target area B, which of course is our big target from the TDEM surveys. And I'm feeling very good and very pleased with the work that Mindea and Equity Drilling are doing for us.
And I noticed in the RNS there was no update on what's happened with the cores from the first hole. Can you give any update on that now or not?
Yeah, sure. So the first cores have all been moved to our office. We're cutting the cores at this point. As we said, we expect that will take about 3 to 4 weeks. So from this point, about another 3 weeks. And then, we'll be shipping off samples off to the labs. We'll be doing some on-site testing as well. Quite whether we'll report anything, I'm not sure at this point. As I said earlier on, we're only going to report definitive results as we have them. That's good or bad. Anything that's sort of still questionable, in doubt, that requires confirmation, which realistically will be most of the data I think that we get from this campaign, that will all be presented at the end once we've got a definitive report. And we've had various experts analyse and tell us exactly what it is that we found.
Okay, so what's your general feeling then, Ben, on this exploration programme and the information you're receiving from the team on the ground?
Yeah, I think the guys are doing a great job. We've got more photos to put up of the new drill site. I think we'll put those up on our Twitter feed today. Again, it's a very professionally set up camp. The core recovery has been superb so far. As we've seen from the photos that we've put out, we're very, very happy with what we've seen. And the fact that over the course of the weekend in double shift drilling, they've already got us down to 180 metres. Yeah, we're ploughing through this. So yeah, feeling very, very good about it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ben Turney, the CEO of Kavango Resources, and I look forward to speaking to you again as and when it's appropriate as the exploration continues.
Good stuff. Cheers, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this Stockbox interview. For more information, interviews and videos, visit our website at stockboxmedia.com or give us a follow on Twitter by searching @StockboxMedia.